If you have already tried to use httpResource or any other Angular resource in your application, you might notice that they have one very annoying side effect. The issue happens when resource loads or reloads data, and during this process the value of the resource is set to undefined, which might cause UI flickering, showing something like empty placeholders or similar no content states. The great news is that recently in Angular was added a feature that solves not only this particular problem, but it goes way beyond. Yes, here I'm talking about resource snapshots and resource composition. And in this video, I will help you to understand this concept step by step. The solution I'm about to cover is actually available in the Angular documentation, but when I saw it first time, I don't know, maybe I'm getting older, but it took some time for me to understand the concept. The solution really clicked when I played with each building block of this pattern separately, and then step by step I refactored a piece of code that I used to fix the same issue before we got snapshots and resource composition. And in this video I want to replicate this journey, so maybe it will help you to understand it better as well. In older Angular versions, the solution to UI flickering caused by the resource reloading was a bit cumbersome. We had to use linked signal per resource and manually define each resource state property explicitly. So whenever any of these changed, the computation logic would check if the resource is in the loading state, and if so, it returns the previous resource value to prevent flickering, or an empty array in case of error. When none of these conditions met, then we just return the current resource value as it is. And after that, we use this derived value from the linked signal in the component template in order to display value. So this is how the problem was solved before resource snapshots. It works, but requires a lot of boilerplate, and the template depends on two different properties that serve kind of the same purpose, making the solution not really scalable and hard to reuse. Now let's try to figure out what snapshot is in context of Angular resources. And the resource snapshot, it is a simple object that reflects the current resource state. The resource state object contains the resource status and value, or the error without the value in case of failure. And if you take a look at the snapshot source code implementation, you can see that it is a simple computed signal that derives the state, namely the object, from the resource itself. And this is an important nuance because unlike, for example, router snapshots, the resource snapshot is dynamic and it updates as the resource state changes. This means that you can easily trace and derive value from the snapshot changes by using the signal-based API we already know. It might be computed, linked signal, or effects. And I think I personally tend to agree with those who think that snapshot is a bit misleading name, but I'm not native speaker, so it's hard for me to argue here. Anyway, the main point is simple. A snapshot, it's just a plain object that reflects the state of the resource at any given moment. So no mystery behind it. However, snapshots on its own, they are not that useful, but they can be converted into resources. And this is where things start to get interesting. A resource snapshot in Angular can be converted back into resource using the resource from snapshots function. However, there are a couple of nuances worth knowing about. First, Resource from snapshots function creates a new resource. It doesn't give you back the original one. Secondly, the new resource is kind of read-only because it doesn't expose an API that allows you to change its state. But if you want to change the state of this derived resource, you have to change the original resource so that the change will propagate through the original resource snapshot into the derived one. And this is intentional by design because it prevents multiple things from changing the same resource and keeps state flow more predictable. This is what enables resource composition. And this is exactly what we're going to see in action later. Using the resource snapshot, we can make immediately our solution significantly cleaner and make it way simpler. Because the resource snapshot is a plain signal. So it means that it plays very well with other signal-based API. So we can replace the explicit state properties with the resource snapshot directly while keeping exactly the same behavior. As a result, we get less boilerplate and the solution is future-proof because if Angular adds new state properties in the resource in the future, we will not need to adjust anything. But is this all the improvement we could squeeze out of the resource snapshots? Of course not. Yes, the solution is cleaner now, definitely. But the main issue still remains. The component template still relies on both their resource and their linked signal, one for value and one for the resource state control. And it would be much better if we could unify it somehow. And the first move we could do here is to slightly refactoring the computation function of our linked signal. Right now, this function returns a resource value, but instead, we could actually return an entire snapshot, right? So by default, we could return the snapshot as it is, meaning that we basically proxy the snapshot. However, when we see that the status of the user resource snapshot is loading, then we create a new snapshot based on the current user resource, but the value of it we are going to override with the value of the previous resource snapshot. So basically the same idea we had before, but instead of returning a simple value, we return a snapshot which includes this value. And now, because our linked signal returns a resource snapshot, we can easily convert this snapshot back into a resource using a dedicated function we learned earlier. And because now we have a proper resource, the template can now rely exclusively on the resource API and read the resource value, read the isLoading state, and other related to the resource properties like the error. And it means that the original resource, in my particular case, we can do it private and it could be used only for triggering reloads or change the resource state. And the derived resource handles everything that our component template needs. However, you can see still the linked signal in our component, but we can clean it up too. Because if you have a look at the computation logic inside this linked signal, you can notice that it doesn't reference any implementation detail of the user resource anywhere. It just takes a snapshot, checks the status of it, and returns a modified snapshot if it is necessary. And this is something that is generic for every possible resource, not only for this particular one. So the natural next step is that we can extract this whole logic into a standalone function that we can name like with previous value function or something like that, and obviously turn our function type into generic one. And this is pretty much it.
Inside their function, their logic will be very simple. We simply copy paste the stuff we had in the component and simply paste it here. And for better readability, we could maybe extract a snapshot derived via linked signal into a certain dedicated constant. So just like that. And then I can return the new resource that we are going to create from this snapshot by using the resource from snapshots helper function. So now all this logic, all the implementation details are encapsulated by this function, and we can apply it to any of our resources. So I can go to my component and bring this new behavior to our user's resource by simply wrapping it with this newly created function, as simple as that. And in such a way, I could bring this new behavior to my resource with one simple line of code. But with previous value is just one example. And now let me show you what else this pattern makes possible. The with previous value function that utilizes resource snapshots and conversion of snapshots into standalone resource, it's just one example. But using this pattern, you can bring other behavior to your existing resources. For example, just for demo purposes, I created another helper function that automatically sorts the users by their ID. So it uses the same principle, as you can see. The only difference is that instead of a linked signal inside, I use the computed function. And the cool thing is that those two functions are naturally composable. So I can go and wrap the previous code with this new function. And obviously I have to provide them sort function here as well. And in such a way, we just brought two new behaviors to our original resource. All right, so let's very quickly recap what we achieved in this video. So we started with a blinking UI problem and ended up with a pattern that allows us to bring additional behaviors to our resources. We could achieve that by using resource snapshots, which is a reactive signal that reflects the current resource state and represented as a plain object. Then we covered a special helper function called resource from snapshots that allows you to convert snapshot back into a resource. This resource is read-only, so you cannot change its state directly. Instead, you have to change state of the original resource in order to reflect those changes in the derived resource. The composition of those two building blocks enable a pattern that allows to bring new behaviors for our resources and make it composable.
This is great. However, you have to make sure that composed resources work properly together, and this is where tools like TestSprite come in handy. I covered TestSprite a while ago, and this is a very promising autonomous AI testing agent, and since then the team shipped their third major version, and the big change here is the new web portal. This is where you can start testing your existing production or staging web application. And to create tests, you have to proceed with a very simple procedure where you upload the product requirement document. It is basically a description about your application, what it does and which problems it solves. And based on that information, TestSprite can understand what actually needs testing. And it turns your requirement document into suggested features and use cases laid out on an interactive whiteboard where you can add, remove or tweak anything before a single test exists. Then you pick what to cover, frontend or backend, and Test Sprite explores your running application and drafts a test plan, which obviously you can review and adjust to your needs. And once you are happy, you can proceed, and Test Sprite generates the tests and run them in the cloud, and you can watch their progress live in your dashboard. And the best part I like most is that you can connect it with your GitHub repository and run tests once you create pull requests, for example, or do any other actions that make sense in your particular use case. The free tier is enough to try it on your own application, and following the link in the video description, you can also get 1 month free on the starter plan.
Alright guys, what do you think about this new feature? Do you have already any ideas where you could apply this feature in your particular use cases? And if yes, please share your ideas in comments and also vote with your like under the most interesting and useful ideas from other developers. So let's see how many use cases we can collect there. Or you can always write how Angular slightly turns into React, which is not true, but I appreciate any comment. Anyway, thank you for watching this video until the end. I wish you, all of you, a productive week ahead. Stay safe, and of course, see you in the next video.